Welcome back, SethBling here. Look at this. Now look at this. Now look back at this, and back at this. Okay, so I've tried to make them be the same. Obviously the color is a little bit different, but this is an updated version of an old Polaroid camera data pack that I did. It lets you take pictures, and the big update here is shading. So if you look at the sides of the tree trunk, like the trunk over there, you can actually see that the different faces of the tree trunk are shaded differently. Similarly, over in this ravine, you can see there's like faces here, right? There's this face and there's this face. And if you look on the map, you can see those two faces. And so it makes it a lot easier to tell what's going on. Also, I've made the grass work a little bit better so that you actually see the top of the grass as a grass block, or that sort of the green grass, and the side is the dirt. So this updated shading looks a lot better than the old version, which looks like this, which it was a little bit hard to make out shapes. So the way that this works, the way I got the shading to work, basically Minecraft maps have a bunch of different colors they can have on them. But each color has 3 different shades. There's neutral, light, and dark. And so for each pixel on the map, it takes the block corresponding to that pixel and it looks 1 block north to see if that block is level with it, higher than it, or lower than it. And so if that block is level with it, it does the neutral shade. If that block is higher than it, it does a dark shade, and if that block is lower than it, it does a light shade. And so that's how I was able to get the different shadings. So the areas here where you see that there's it's sort of staircasing up, I get lighter shades that way. I get like a continuous area of lighter shades. And so you can see if I look above this section, there's basically this whole area is going to be sort of shaded lightly. Anywhere that's flat, like these areas here, it's going to be neutral, and anywhere that's stair-stepping down, like over here, is going to be shaded dark. And so you can see some of those. And so if I go above this whole thing, you can actually start to see that stuff that's in this map. So each block here is 1 pixel of the map, and I've just arranged the blocks in these columns and these strips so that they have the correct shading. Now, the way I got the shading to work is through ray tracing, but I had to do a little bit more than just what I did with the old Polaroid camera. So if you want to see a little bit more about how the ray tracing works, go watch that old Polaroid camera video, because it like demonstrates a little bit more visibly how that works. I'm actually going to go ahead and take another picture and at the same time demonstrate how to use the Datapack if you want to use it. Let's see, so we've got some snow. Let's take it from a good angle so that we get a lot of shading of blocks. So you reload the Datapack and it'll tell you these 2 things. So if you click Setup, then it'll clear out all the blocks in that area. You don't have to do that for taking another picture. It'll overwrite the old picture. You click Take Picture and it will, it'll take a picture. It is very, very slow. So you can see at the top there's a progress bar. And the progress bar, well, it hasn't even moved yet. It will move eventually, but you can start to see a little bit of progress. Basically, the reason it's so slow is not because of the ray tracing or anything like that. It's because of all the lighting updates that this requires. Every time we put in a new pixel, since we have to staircase up and down, it could be at a drastically different altitude. And if it is, it's going to have to do a lot of updating. Either it's obscuring a bunch of blocks below it and is blocking out the lights from there, or I have a new block that's below the existing pixels and I have to clear out the space above it. Either way, it's going to cause a lot of lighting updates, and that makes it really slow. As for how this works, basically there's a coarse and then a fine ray tracing. So for each pixel on the map, basically you shoot out a ray that's just a line from your point of view. Let's say it's looking right there. So it shoots out a ray and it goes until it hits a block. It goes every quarter block at first, and then once it hits a block, it does a finer pass at 0.02 meters. So very fine pass to try and figure out what block is sort of in that direction from your point of view. And not only does it find out what block it is, it also figures out which face of the block it collides with. So basically there's a moment where it's in that fine ray tracing pass where it's moving. It's doing that ray trace and it's going 0.02, 0.02, 0.02, 0.02, and then it hits a block. And then it figures out, well, okay, I now hit a block. Which face of the block did I just pass? Did I just pass the in the X direction, in the Z direction, or in the Y direction. And it uses that to figure out shading. And so if it passes through the Y face of the block, that means it's going vertically and it does no shading. That's where you see the flat areas. If it goes through the X, actually I'm not sure which is which, but X and Z are light and dark. I'm not sure which way around that is. I just don't remember, but that causes all three faces to have different shading when you actually see the picture. And so, as you can see, I've talked a lot and the progress bar has not moved that much. So I will have to fast forward this and I'll show you that final result from the picture that I took over there. All right, and finally, we can see the rendered version of that photo. So here's how it compares. Not too bad, right? One thing you'll notice is that the snow blocks up here are rendered as full blocks. There's no way to know sort of that they don't take up the full block. That ray tracing ray enters the block and it just sees that there's snow blocks somewhere in there and it just renders it all as white. But it is shaded, so it does look actually kind of nice. Like you can tell that there's some texture up there, that it's not just one big blob like it would have rendered with the old video. We have the lava down here. You can see this little chunk of dirt in between, sort of next to the two lava pools. A lot of detail. The grass looks nice. It still has room for improvement. Maybe I could get the textures in here someday. Wouldn't that be pretty cool if I could actually render these actual textures? But with a limited number of colors in a map, that seems hard. You'll also notice that there is a 50 block render distance, so it doesn't render any of this stuff over here. It just sort of renders it as light blue. That's the default color if there's nothing. But yeah, if you want to try this out for yourself, there's a link in the description where you can download this world. Just do it like I showed you, reload, and then click take picture wherever you want. It'll take a while, quite a time sometimes. But yeah, then just bring your map over here and come over here so that you can actually map out the area here. And that's all you have to do. Take some pictures. It does work with any kind of block. Yeah, I made them all work. I sort of manually assigned each one to a color. It's pretty tedious, but yeah. That's about it. Thanks for watching.